Alright, so welcome back. I'm excited for this video, as hopefully you are, because we're finally going to get back on this project. Dude, I 100% apologize to everybody. I know we were making killer grounds on this thing, and then all of a sudden life just freaking smacked me in the face. Between buying 3 flip vehicles, the paint work just being a ton, hitting the racetrack 2 times on the weekend. We went on vacation like 3 times in the past 2 months, or out of town trips, I guess you could say. Life has took over. However, it's my pledge that from now all the way till the first of the year, I'm trying my best to make huge progress on this thing, and over Thanksgiving break, and hopefully I'll take about 2 weeks off for Christmas. Hopefully we'll make tons of progress. So I went to the metal yard this morning, grabbed some metal. We needed the sheet metal for the back of the car so we can start making grounds with that. I think we're gonna commit to a lot and rock and roll with welding it in, and we're gonna start getting some floor structure laid. I think we're gonna get a transmission this coming week, get floor structure up here laid. Dude, I think we're gonna hopefully make good progress. So let's dive right in and start doing this back half. I spent a lot of time with Mike last weekend, I think it was, or a weekday or something, last Sunday maybe. I didn't have time to actually work on the car, but I called Mike, or I texted Mike. I was like, hey, can you come over and get me on path? Basically, I think I know how this trunk structure needs to be built, but I don't want to make any mistakes. What's the most efficient way to build? Now, when we get into a project like this, we have the body of the car, which is going to basically be a full body like a truck cab, okay? And then you have the frame of the vehicle. So the cab or the body has to be strong and has to be able to bolt to the frame. This build would be a million times easier if I would just weld this shell to the frame instead of having to build a whole entire strong cab, a whole entire frame, have them where they bolt together, have them where they come apart, have them where they work together. We would be light years ahead. So if you're trying to tackle something like this and you've ever done a race car, I think you can do this. However, there's a lot to think about, and that's why we called Mike and we had Mike step in to make sure that we weren't messing up, because you really have to think when you're building a shell, the floor structure, the trunk structure, you're building everything from scratch. You really got to think. All right, what we need to do front is we need to get a tube or square tube for the frame, because we're still building the frame. That's another thing, is when you're building these things, you've got to keep the stuff separate. Am I working on the body of the car, or am I working on the frame of the car? The body of the car can never be welded to the frame of the car. It has to be detachable. So we're going to start with the frame of the car, then we'll go back to the body of the car. We need some tubes that come off of this and go that way. These are in the way up top, and these tubes are actually, I think, too short. So me and Mike talked about last weekend that I was gonna have to cut these off and extend them. However, I think I may be able to keep rolling and put a 45 down here. So I'm gonna take my tape measure and we're gonna figure out a rough measurement of underneath here of how far we need to be out, and we're gonna cut that piece. Now we need to think about the back of this car. If you're gonna put a bumper on this car, this is another thing you gotta think about. Bumper does not attach to the body of the car. Bumper's attached to the frame, okay? So you gotta have a way to attach it. I'm pretty sure this car is not getting a bumper. It's gonna get like a roll pan set up. However, we want the options there just in case we change our mind later in the build, and we want something to attach to. So if you recall, and you've watched this from the start, you know the back of this car needs to be extended down 4 to 6 inches. I can't remember what it was, maybe 3 to 6 inches. So we've got something to build here. We're not gonna build that until we have all of the sides on, because this has to match the side. So we can run our square tubing to right here, which is what I plan to do, right flush to the edge, and then that way, well, maybe a little bit back. That way, then when we take the body off the car, wherever we decide we want the frame rails to stop at, we can then cut them, and it's not that big of a deal. So it's pretty important to make sure you don't mess that one up. So we got this mocked up after a lot of struggling. I'm honestly feeling on edge this morning. I know some of y'all probably have them mornings too, because I don't 100% know where I'm going. It's very frustrating to, like, at first I set up this bar right here because I thought it needed to be, you know, up higher, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was wrong. So now I had to take it back down, change it. I've had to change a couple things to get it right. It's a little cramped. I'm on the floor. Just overall feeling aggravated this morning with this back, but made a lot of progress. So we got the two crossbar structures in. Let me see if I can roll the camera down here. Kind of show you from the bottom. Okay, so then we're our hat pieces that are in. Now we had to rip this back panel, which I didn't want to do, but it's just that had to be done. We're gonna join the new sheet metal of the floor to this panel. We had to cut these sections out because this was the factory gas tank strap area that sat down in there, and this was a little hump up piece right here. So this is how these pieces looked right in here, and well, we can't have that. This was hanging down below flatter than this. We had to rip this front off because it had a little flare up piece. So let's see here, it was like this. All right, so it's kind of bulged up, as you can see, like that right there. So we need a flat floor. So we had to cut out these little pieces, and we'll patch some metal back in. Had to cut this one out over here. This is the other gas strap from the factory, but now we have a flat place where we can join it to. Now these top hats get welded to the floor. So this is still all part of the car body right here, not the frame. The frame, that's one of the frame rails right there that I'm trying to figure out what I want to do, join back there. Pretty sure I'm gonna put it on a 45. It'll look good, and it will fix my problem of that piece being too short. There's a lot attached off of that piece, so if I cut that piece off, all of these bracings all of a sudden are loose. The whole back of the car is moving around, and I just really don't want to do it. So I think I have a nice way that I can just slip a little 45 piece in and do it. However, the whole time I'm working on this, so I'm cutting the frame rails and I'm cutting the top hats and I'm cutting everything. And this is what I'm struggling with this build, is I feel like we're growing at a faster pace than I can work, if that kind of makes sense. So remember when we bought the English wheel the other week? It's still just sitting here on the floor. Now, I didn't record it, but you can see there's some marks on the English wheel. Mike actually come over, and me and Mike actually played with this when we talked about the back piece back there, and we actually worked some metal. I don't even know where it went. We built a curved piece. Oh, we started curving this piece right here. So doing some simple rolling and some beating the metal into a shape on this curved edge, whatever. Just playing with some scrap metal. It was like 15 minutes. However, it's still just sitting here on the floor. The dash is still just here on the floor. Everything's just kind of here in the floor. I've got metal in the bed of my truck outside, and I didn't bring it in because I've got metal in the floor. We brought the brake in. We've used it. It's just there. The shrinker stretcher is just there. Everything's just kind of in the floor. This area right here, sometimes you have a good idea, and then it doesn't work. And that's what an example of this is. This is a failed idea. This was supposed to be a workbench right here, and it gets used nothing but to collect junk on. And the vise. You can barely get to the vise normally because there's so much stuff laid across it. So what I really need to do, along with also, I got distracted, cutting frame rails and top hats on the floor, because, or the channels, they're I don't know why people call them top hats. I guess because it's what it looked like, but cutting the floor channels on the floor, because this is my only mobile bench. And as you can see, that's not long enough. So if I hang it off, it'll be falling to the floor and just completely like crap. This also, I like this bench because it's small. It's an engine stand that you can also build transmissions on and work on. However, it's not good for long stuff. So unfortunately, I really feel like I'm very dangerously close to the point, hopefully if I can get through this weekend, I'm gonna have to stop, and I'm gonna have to clean up and build a bench. I think what we need to do is, and also last week I was having to hold a light to be able to see the brake on this. I think this brake needs to go down here. This would be underneath this light over here. We could get rid of this bench, just tear all this down. And I think it's time to build us a 6 foot, 7 foot, whatever. I think 8 foot's a little too much. I don't know how much progress I'm able to make without stopping and fixing the workbench. However, I think we're gonna go ahead and build these 45s. I'd love to do that. I wanna get the 45s built. I wanna get the frame rails welded in so that the back of this car can stop floating and we can finally get it where the back of this car is all welded together and the floor structure is sitting on the frame rail structure and more permanent instead of just everything kind of just hanging. All right, so again, a lot of moving around. I've had to take my rail off of here that basically made this frame rail straight off of here, but before I took it down, I clamped my frame rail to the crossbars. And anyway, long story short, it's in the same exact spot. The nice thing about using these Clecos is we have reference holes right here, okay? So this is our Cleco piece back from weekends ago when we built this. Look at that. The holes are perfect. So I can put the Clecos right back in there. So this is the advantage to using Clecos in your build, because you have reference points that no matter what you need to change, move around, undo, or put back, we can always go right back to our Clecos. And we know that we have the same distance this way and we have the same distance this way. You know, everything is correct because it all gets Clecoed right back in the same spot. So very important reference points, reference lines, Cleco holes, whatever you got. Because now I can swing this piece out of the way, and now there's my two frame rails, okay? So I need to join this lower frame rail to this one, and that's our gap. That's why I was hoping I can get some kind of 45 in here. If this thing was longer, then we could have just butted straight to it, cut it back into 45, and then done. But that's not where we're at. So I'm trying to figure out now, but it's just nonstop, man, because now this piece is in the way. Now that clamp is in the way. So not building it on the chassis table is definitely rough, to say the least. I need this clamp swung over to the other side. Oh my God. We need to get it somewhere like that. It's got to go in here kind of at a 45 is what I'm thinking, to give it a little bit of style or look whenever we're done, but it looks like it's not going to be as easy as I hoped. All right, that was no super easy task. We got to see if it fits or if it's got to be trimmed down. As you can see, the angles are totally different, which is fine as long as it fits in there. But I'm definitely going to have to go ahead and copy this onto another one so that the 45s are symmetrical left to right. This goes back to the videos and the previous ones where I explained how hard it is to make symmetrical. First one you just traced. Second one, now we got to make it symmetrical when we go to the other side. But it is kind of difficult to find your task. But basically, I transferred lines across. You know, I drew it on this side, right, and then I took my lines and extended them to the face to this side, and then I extended them all the way across line 1, 2, 3, 4, and then extend them all the way across this side. All right, and you got to come back to this side, pull your measurement from whatever reference point you want to here, which I think was 1 1/4 inches, and then the other one was like 1.5 inches, to the center of the mouth right there, and then that's going to be measurements are on line 2 and 3. Okay, so we measured on lines 2 and 3. So then you come back to this side, being we pulled off of that. Now we're going to pull off of this same side, go this way on lines 2 and 3. So you basically have to transfer the lines all the way around, at least on 3 sides, in order to be able to find where it's straight through with a cutoff weld. Now, if I had a bandsaw, well, now this is where your job just got way easier than mine, because you literally just put it on the table and you cut one side. We do have a bandsaw at the shop. It's a wood saw. Uncle Mike thinks that he slowed it down with a pulley change. However, I haven't put a metal blade on it or brought it home. And again, that's dumping more tools on top of the mess we already have. So we're in dire need of some organization. And I have actually another tool coming in the mail to review to show y'all that we're gonna need to use this right here. Let's see what we got. Honestly, this might not even work with this brace in the way right here right now. It does slip in though. It's nice. It's just the brace is in the way. So there's what it looks like. But of course, the stupid brace is in the way. Huge mistake on my part for putting that brace so low. Thought it was going to be high enough, but it's not. However, it's good news that my piece looks good. Piece is actually going to look really good. It's all the way through. See, can we put it on this side to show y'all? We got a Glico in the way. Oh my God, Glico out of the way. Now we got to turn it all around. Yep, fits right in. So we got to figure out something with that brace to get that brace out of the way so that we can weld this piece in. And then we're probably going to run into the same issue on the other side. I don't know. That brace looks like it was welded a little higher. I knew better than that. I should have put that brace up there. 100% my fault. All right, this mess just ain't gonna work. All this mess everywhere, man. All right, let's see here. Some plywood and a 46 9-drawer toolbox. I think that should get us fixed real fast, and then and then we can get back working. Dude, y'all, you have to like work, man. Y'all got to stop crying about working and just wanting to have results without working. I don't feel like working on the floor and all this nasty stuff, so we're gonna stop and get this half of the garage cleaned up and organized, get us a workbench on wheels built that we can go right here, so that when we start cutting the metal and everything, we got something to cut it on. Because right now I'd have to drag sawhorses in here, and yeah, there's nowhere for sawhorses. So we got our metal this morning from the metal yard. These are 4 foot by 4 foot squares. Let's see here, 2, 4, 6 of them, plus our 90s are in the back. So I don't want to throw 4 foot by 4 foot on the ground and be trying to cut on the ground to do the trunk lid. So let's cut up some of this wood, scrap wood that I had at the shop, and let's grab the saws out and build us a nice workbench.